out, and we see Mr. Mkhwanazi here. Mr. Mkhwanazi, once again.
I don't want to comment, my brother. I'm good.
So are you confident this time around that you did nothing wrong?
No, let me not comment.
Not just one. 2 people have turned state witnesses against Julius Mkhwanazi. It looks like it's going to be a very hard year for him. It will be actually luck if he gets bail this time. Actually, I think bail is another story. It will be luck if he does not go to jail for years. Because if people now are willing to talk, it's getting deeper and hecticer by minute.
Important detail I must tell you. We have established through our sources that there is, of course, an individual who's gone section 204. This then means that there is someone who was, of course, being investigated in this matter, who will now tell law enforcement everything that unfolded in 2022 and assist law enforcement to build a watertight case.
In this video, I wanted us to actually talk about these individuals that have turned state witness against Julius Mkhwanazi, especially in 2 of the, 4 cases that he's already been arrested for. If you're interested, let us get to it.
Do you agree with me that Mr. Mbhense's family deserve justice?
Commissioners, 100%.
And that they deserve to know what happened to their loved one?
I fully agree with you. I fully support them.
And that people who know what happened have a duty to come forward and tell the authorities what happened.
Yes.
And it will be bad if you know what happened and you choose to cover up for your colleagues.
That's true. That's true.
So we know that Julius Mkhwanazi was arrested last week for the unaliving of Emmanuel Mbhense. And for you and me to actually understand those section 204 witnesses, it's important for us to understand the history that is leading us to where we are now, which is where we find Julius Mkhwanazi facing serious sentencing. High chances, life imprisonment. So let us first start. So Julius Mkhwanazi, the first time we heard about him was in connections to the blue lights, when he was telling us that he did not put at the blue lights, and we heard from the press brief of Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi that there's someone in Ekurhuleni who's giving people like Vusumuzi Ket Matala blue lights, busy there, making them have the nice times of their lives with those blue lights.
Is one fellow that has been enjoying too much privilege from the law enforcement, and the typical example is that one of, or at least few of his vehicles, not talking about the number, but it's a couple of them, 4 or 5, the number will be confirmed through the report. His personal vehicles were registered by the Deputy Chief of Police at Ekurhuleni, that is Major General Mkhwanazi. He facilitated the registration of these Mr. Mahlala's vehicles under the municipality as if they are municipality official vehicles.
And we thought, okay, who's this guy? And it got even worse and more interesting when we started hearing testimonies from the people in Ekurhuleni. And when we thought we've heard all the explosives from Mamo Mapiyeye to Amonglinza to Abokilebohile, Pecha, to everybody that appeared, we started hearing explosives and bombs that were thrown by Witness D. He told us about an unaliving that was covered up, and it was the unaliving of Emmanuel Mbhense. And it's so painful. The painful part about the story of Emmanuel Mbhense, before we can go further, is that they unalived him in his family home. And the chair of his grandmother is one of the things that were broken in that furniture.
I mean, when you hear details like that pertaining to exactly what transpired, I mean, when I heard that testimony, I was at home. I mean, this is our family home where this happened. And I'm hearing a man that I've come across him in the streets of Brakpan, not even knowing that he was involved. I remember this one time I came across him at the magistrate's court in Brakpan, and I commented on his bulletproof. I said, hey, that's a cool too bulletproof. And now to hear him speak and give testimony as to what transpired, and now this is replaying. Now I'm starting to put the puzzles together with, oh, it happened in this bedroom, it happened in this. When he mentioned of broken tables, now it goes back to my mind with, I found that chair broken. Then it brings back with, but that chair, that's my great-grandmother's chair. To us as a family, it left us with a lot of trauma. Of course, we would have loved to know about this prior.
And I don't know if they used the chair, how did they use the chair? But that's one of the most painful things, because me and you, especially as a black lady who grew up in the townships, we know that family homes are so important. No matter how much you might feel drained in life, when you go home, you come back with new strength. I don't know if you guys get what I mean. I'm part of those people, that gang, that whenever life just throws lemons and lemons, I take those lemons, I go home, and then I create my lemonade. By the time I come back, I have all the strength. Imagine now you being unalived in that home. That's the highest form of tragedy. That's the highest form of tragedy. He came and dropped a bomb. That there was this man, Emmanuel Mbhense, was involved in some cases of stolen goods, and they went there to recover those goods. And when they arrived there, some people started unaliving the guy. They started suffocating him, tubing him to his unaliving, because they wanted the stock and they wanted the money. And somehow, which means they managed to get the money because they left the property with a black bag. And when they were still trying to understand and mensing themselves to the fact that someone has been unalived, because Witness D says he just heard from people like Viandra Pretorius that person is gone, might not never live. Then we started hearing the names of General Khan and Julius Mkhwanazi. That Julius Mkhwanazi would save the day, and indeed Julius Mkhwanazi came and started instructing Witness D to go and deal with that particular body, dump it in a dam or something. Then he left.
A short while after this, Chief Soup Julius Mkhwanazi, JD Mkhwanazi, arrived at the scene, and we were informed that this is the chief in a dark tracksuit of some sort.
At this time, apologies, witness. At this time, did you know who Chief Superintendent Julius Mkhwanazi was?
It was my first time seeing him that evening, and then it was obviously when Yaku indicated to us that this is Mkhwanazi, Chief Soup Mkhwanazi.
Did you know what unit or institution he's aligned to?
From the system, I understood that he was the EMPD or Metro Police.
EMPD, you say?
Yeah, or Metro Police, from the rank structure.
Thank you. You may continue.
Thank you, Commissioners. So Jaco Hanekom and Viandra addressed him as chief, and the Metro members, including Jaco, Kershaw, Etienne was with me at that stage. So the Metro members, they all had a meeting with the soup away from myself and Etienne. Shortly afterwards, they returned to where we were. JD Mkhwanazi said that we needed to throw the suspect's body into a mine shaft or dump it into a dam. As he said this, he looked at me. Viandre then in turn informed me that I must take the body and dump it. They will show me where and that I should relax.
Julius Mkhwanazi, obviously, these allegations are serious. He had to come before the Matlanga Commission because they asked him, what's your role? Julius Mkhwanazi came with some lame excuse, saying that, that operation was never the operation of the EMPD. It was the SAPS operation. And when I arrived there, I didn't spend that much. I only stayed there for like 5 minutes, then I left.
I was there for only less than 5 minutes or 5 minutes. I didn't even stay there.
Thank you.
I didn't stay that long there because it was never the EMPD operation. But the crazy thing is that the person that is being blamed here is Yaku Hanekom, who is no more. Whom we can't even ask if whether the story is true or false. But Yaku is no more. And Yaku is the one that is said to be the one who called Julius Mkhwanazi at 2 a.m. Julius Mkhwanazi goes to the scene and is told that, we're having a successful operation. It's like, but this operation is the subs, you're wasting my time, and leaves. Even though he sees the EMPD car, he doesn't go and ask, are there EMPD officers here? He doesn't care. For someone who woke up at 2 a.m. from his house, going to where everything was happening, and he doesn't ask anything, then he decides to leave after 5 minutes. Imagine. The commissioners did not believe that version at all.
We accept what you have said as truth, that you spoke to Yako, you went and parked on the side because you suspected they want to steal, and then you left. How probable is it actually that you do not ask who from EMPD is here because I see one of my vehicles?
Commissioner, I've accepted when I was asked by the chairperson that I didn't even give Yako a chance to respond to me. I wanted to deal with him.
I'm asking you a different question. You are there, you are the most senior EMPD person on that spot. You see a vehicle of EMPD. How do you not ask who is here from EMPD because I see an EMPD vehicle?
No, to be honest, Commissioner, I didn't ask. I didn't want just to be part of this because I was not.
Why did you not want to be part of this when your car is there? There's an EMPD vehicle. You are there, you were called because you are head of special operations or special services, specialized services and operations. That's why Yako called you. He didn't call you because you're his friend or you're trying to make business with him.
You are correct.
He called you because of the position you hold at EMPD. You arrive at the scene, you find a lot of people, including 9 white men that you're standing next to. How do you not say, I see my vehicle, tell me people who are here, all of you who are here, tell me who from EMPD is here?
I didn't do that.
He says that after 2 days, that's when he called and asked who are there, and then he was told that it was Keshani Stall as well as Mbhense. And he's then starting to like, I know, EMPD people were there, started scolding at the EMPD people because that operation was not even recorded in their court books, but shows that Julius Mkhwanazi did go there. He says he just got there. There was no him to give him a call. That at 2 a.m. I was called about a successful operation. And as an EMPD officer, I went there. And what is worse is that this person is a chief of police. He could have asked or even disciplined the members that were there, that were involved in this crazy thing. But he didn't do all of that.
You've driven from your home 2 a.m. with no detail whatsoever. You get there and you still leave without any detail whatsoever. Now you only call on Tuesday to get information on the operation. You could have, after having gotten into the trouble of driving at 2 a.m. to get to the scene, you could have gotten the information or the clarity there instead of within a very short time turning and going back home. You could have gotten. Why did you not do that then?
Yeah, you are correct. I think it was a shortfall on my side and I allowed emotions.
That's not explaining. I'm asking for an explanation. Why did you not do it then?
I didn't think about that. I wanted to put on.
And you only think of it, what, was it 5 days later?
I only put that order on Yako. That's what I wanted.
Let me conclude this by saying that, Commissioner, if it's not been clear so far, I don't accept that you're telling us the truth about your involvement that night and your knowledge of who was there and what happened that night. I don't accept that what you're telling us is true.
But what I love is that, do you remember Mama Suk, who was investigating this case from the IPID? She worked so hard because this case, remember, that it was never an unaliving case. At first, it was an inquest. And then later on, it was an unaliving case because the IPID was never at the scene when this whole thing happened. The people that were at the scene, there were other people. It was not the IPID. It was the SAPS. And then later on, when they started doing like their investigation, they started realizing that this is the IPID case because police officers are involved. And more than anything, this is an unaliving case because they were looking at his bruising and the fact that it looks like there was something hard that was hit on him. Then he started bleeding and all of those things.
There is blood that shows that there is some injuries around the head, even though you won't know where, but if blood was running somewhere, then you see that this person is injured. So SAPS, they interviewed the witness, the police were there. They found the deceased had injuries, but still they continued and registered an inquest matter, of which it was wrong of them to do that, according to me now. Because they can see that this person was killed. So they must register a male advocate so that it might be investigated as to what transpired with this person. And it was for SAPS to report that matter to IPID.
So, as soon as the IPID had its hands on this particular case, they then went in very hard because they started wanting to trace if whether these police officers, the SAPS members and Ekurhuleni members were actually in the house of Emmanuel Mbhense. And they had no other proof to actually prove that these police officers were there besides using the AVL system. The AVL system, we have heard about it countless times at the Madlanga Commission, that there is being used heavily for investigations to track if police officers were there, where did they stop, what route, which house did they go to. It was then revealed through the AVL system that one of the people who is Zandra Fritz was actually in the house of Emmanuel Mbhense. And not only in the house of Emmanuel Mbhense through the AVL system, they also found out that he actually went to visit the family of Emmanuel Mbhense, acting like he's a police officer, lying to the family, pretending like he's a police officer so that he can get some information, get to know what the family knows, how far is the investigation, whether they're about to be found, what is actually going on.
I said to the team, let's rather arrest Fritz. You remember that Alexandra Fritz visited mother after the funeral. Fritz's car was pinned by the AVL to the scene. Marius is mentioning him in his statement. At least for Fritz, I've got evidence tangible against him.
Little did he know that actually the IPID was on his tail. But the question that I want to ask you is that Zandra Fritz is not in that particular dock. If you actually were looking at the people that were in the dock, Zandra Fritz is not there. I don't know what you want to do with that particular information. I'm not making any assumptions or anything. I'm just asking myself, is he that particular section 204 witness? Because he's not there in the dock. And he's part of the first suspect in this case. The IPID were on to him. He was part of the first people that they wanted to clamp down. Probably they did. And they tried to convince him and speak to him that he should turn section 204 witness. Because we heard from Mama Sugu that they were not really planning to make Viandra Pretorius as a section 204 witness. Viandra was just giving the information from the goodness of his heart. But there was no discussions of him being the section 204. But it just so happens that now we have section 204s and some of the people, we don't see them in the dock. Mind you, it's not only Zandra Fritz. Let us just remind each other of the names of the people that were actually implicated in all of this so that we can ask ourselves who is there and who is not there in the dock.
Reservist Constable Z. Fritz, Mr. W. Pretorius, Mr. E. van der Waalt, Mr. M. van der Merwe, which is Marius, Mr. J. Mkhwanazi, Mr. J. Hanekom, who is now deceased, Mr. Kobas, Ms. K. Listos, who is a Metro officer, Ms. J. Marie Extian, who is an SAPS member, and Mr. A. Mackenzie, who is an EMPD member as well. Mr. J. Mkhwanazi as well is an EMPD member. The rest of other mentioned names is private people.
Thank you.
So since you know now who's there and who's not there, who do you think might be the probable section 204 witness? I know now we are just jumping the gun because such things are supposed to remain a secret, but you know, we're just jumping a gun, we're just making our guesses. We might also be wrong. We might be wrong. None of those people might actually even be section 204 witnesses. This case has been met with a lot of delays. And you might be asking yourself, why so many delays? Why didn't the police officers arrest some of the people like Zandra Fritz? Because they already had the proof that he was there in the scene. Why is IPID actually acting now? And why did Masuku utter words such as she's happy that everything is happening right now at the time when everything is happening? You must remember that ever since this case has started, it has been filled with a lot of issues. And one amongst many is the fact that these officers, their lives have changed. They've been threatened, followed, family members shot. Some family members are even now having serious conditions of paralysis. So they could not conclude on this matter because of the complications that were associated with this matter. And some of those complications are the ones that I already told you about, which are threats. How do you proceed? Because now and again, Marias will tell them, act. And then the next time, stop. One thing that Masuku made clear is that ever since the IPID has started investigating this case, ever since this case landed on the IPID's hands in Brakpan, they could not work in peace. They had to investigate, stop the investigation, because of the unending threats that were coming from people that they don't know.
There were threats that were coming towards us. I will not say to point and say they were coming from them, but they were threats that I had to inform the department to say I was not feeling safe, as well as the team, for a number of things that were happening that were unusual. Then the department ran their own investigation that didn't include us, because it was done. We'll be called for interviews every now and then. They'll be visit our home, investigators from other departments. But it was done very quickly because the threats were escalating. Then we were protected. We felt a bit at ease, but still, it was not easy because the protection, they were not moving around with us. But we had to continue working.
We know that this squad is dangerous, not just to the outside, but even to itself. It's very dangerous. Even now, the under Pretorius unalived himself, but he's a suspect in the unaliving of Marius van der Merwe, who's witness D. Because we know that Marius van der Merwe was gunned down, was unalived. So they are not just a threat to the people outside, but they're also a threat to themselves. They're threatening each other. So it makes sense why others are like, I'm not going to take the fall. I'm going to talk. I'm going to take the Section 204. I'm just not going to stay in jail. But this is not the only case. We also know that Julius Mkhwanazi, the first case he was arrested for, the one of Lerutha, when Lerutha was arrested with that speeding ticket that involves the unaliving of someone. And then when he was supposed to attend court, he then found someone that would disguise as him. And that person attended court. Guess what? That person was never arrested. I did make an episode about that for my members. And that person, it was revealed during the proceeding that he has turned state witness. Meaning also in that case, there is what? A Section 204. You got it right. So this is not just one case now of Section 204. We have two cases of Section 204s. Someone who's willing to tell it all just so that those people, they can not go to prison or they can get a very lenient sentence if they actually do get arrested.
We made the most or the only inference that could be drawn from those facts, Your Worship, and that is that the person who is supposed to be the driver or the third person is the person who is going to testify. The reason for this, Your Worship, is logical. There are only two people who have been complicit in this alleged scheme before this Honourable Court. There is no application or indication whatsoever that they are looking for this driver or that he's going to be added. Taking those into account, Your Worship, the only inference that can be drawn from these facts is that that is the person that is going to testify. Why else is he not here?
So last week Saturday, Julius Mkhwanazi, who was the...
That's not the only one. We also know that Julius Mkhwanazi was arrested for the Precious Stones case. And that one, so far, we don't know who might be the Section 204 witness or state witness. But we know that Etienne van der Walt was let go of. He left. And the charges were withdrawn against him. Whereas we know that he was at the scene. The pictures show him sitting there in the chair of that guy whom they took the stones from. So I don't know if he's an accomplice as also, he would be charged as an accomplice or what, but part of me wants to believe, especially after what, there's an episode I made about what he told the ENCA. I wouldn't be shocked if he turned state witness. But I don't want to think too much of that particular situation because we know that the charges were dropped against him. So we don't know if they just dropped and that's it, or there's some plans or some agreements that were made under the sofa that we don't know of. We know that the Blue Light saga that has Julius Mkhwanazi, Mashazi, as well as Kemi Bihari and Linda Klasheka. We know that that case of Blue Lights is there. Julius Mkhwanazi was arrested. He got bail for that case. Linda Klasheka has been talking non-stop, has been talking everywhere. She has been entertaining and talking. So we don't know if also she's planning to turn state witness.
The Labour Court has rejected former Ekurhuleni HR head Linda Klasheka's urgent bid to overturn her dismissal. The court found there was no urgency in her application. The ex-manager was relieved of her duties after an internal disciplinary hearing found her guilty of misconduct over ICT and salary mismanagement, along with other issues. Accusations also emerged at the Madlanga Commission that she failed to act on disciplinary recommendations regarding Julius Mkhwanazi. The Labour Court has referred Klasheka to the Bargaining Council.
So, it looks like the IPID, when it took its time for it to start arresting people, they were cooking such things. They were trying to ensure that when they make arrests, people do go to jail. Probably they allowed them to get their bail so that they can prepare for their trial. But I just think that Julius Mkhwanazi might be facing life sentence, especially if these Section 204 witnesses do speak and say everything that they have to say. And I think if indeed we want justice for Emmanuel Mbhense, they have done really well by securing those state witnesses. And I think if Witness D was still alive, they're not going to even survive this. So there were many people that were implicated in the case of Emmanuel Mbhense, guys. Many people. I think we had close to, if I'm not mistaken, 12 to 13 people that were involved. That number has went down to 8 because 5 is gone. And 4 of the 5 or 5 of the 6 has been unalived and then 1 unalived themselves. But what we know is that the people in this particular case, they keep on being unalived all the time.
Fortunately, some of them died. As now, we had 12, and then 4 died, including the recent one, Mr. Pretorius. So now we are left with 8. And all of them, they die as a result of shooting.
It looks like they have really, really strong evidence against people like Julius Mkhwanazi. And it looks like they know what they're doing. I trust that team of IPID, especially the Ekurhuleni team. I trust them. But let us see what's going to happen, because I wouldn't be shocked if things take a different turn and things don't go the way we expect.
Court of the Madlanga Commission, we've seen over 32 police officials suspended. We saw 32 of them arrested. We saw a number of them under investigation, and we know that a number of them are still going to be arrested. The only concerning factor is Julius Mkhwanazi, as Pule mentioned, he's still on suspension. And despite being implicated for almost a year now in serious misconduct, I don't know what the delay is in Ekurhuleni, but he's still suspended. There's been no decision about whether he's going to be dismissed or not. I think that is raising a lot of concern. And even within the political parties in Ekurhuleni, that particular concern, Jenna, has been raised repeatedly.
Their bail is coming, and I wouldn't be shocked if they actually get bail. Already, the legal representative of Julius Mkhwanazi is arguing that he shouldn't be charged as someone that has committed the unaliving, but as an accessory after the fact.
Agree that it is Schedule 6. We've been provided with a preliminary charge sheet, and I submit that from a reading of the charge sheet, it is quite clear that the charges against accused number 5 can never constitute a Schedule 6 offence. Your Worship. In this regard, also furthermore, in an effort to clarify this, we'd send further particulars and requested the State to provide us with further particulars. My learned colleague confirmed that he'd received it, even though it was sent to him yesterday. He indicated he only received it this morning. We have not been provided with those for particular, Your Worship, and until we have been provided with those, and I'll address Your Worship on this issue because I think Mr. Nell is going to take or address Your Worship on a preliminary issue. But until we have been provided with that on the charge sheet as it stands, we cannot agree to the fact that it is Schedule 6. If we proceed as it is at this stage, Your Worship, we will follow the so-called scattergun approach. We will not be able to focus on what might be in dispute because the state has not indicated, other than the fact that they claim it's in Schedule 6, why they would oppose bail in this regard. So until we have that information, Your Worship, we're going to have to address all the relevant issues, which in itself will prolong unnecessarily these proceedings. But we are ready to proceed, we are ready to continue. But without our further particulars, the right to bail, as was said in Mark's case, Your Worship, and confirmed in Green's case, will become illusionary. So we're ready to proceed, but without the further particulars, we will be severely hampered.
Really tell us in the dark that we have to shoot in the dark and fend for our side. If this was a trial, we would have said to the court, this is an ambush by trial. But this is an ambush by, the bail application is an ambush, Your Worship. They refuse to tell us on what grounds they pose. They refuse to tell us if the investigation is complete. A simple fact like that, Your Worship. Surely be entitled to at least have that, Your Worship. That brings me further to another application, Your Worship. The accused was arrested on a J50 warrant of arrest, Your Worship. There should be common cause between the defence and the state, Your Worship. They were invited to come and attend court, and the J50 was issued. On the time when we received the J50 warrant of arrest, we requested, myself and the attorney for accused number 5, requested the state to consider to provide us with a copy of the affidavit that was utilised to obtain the warrant.
Of which, it's a good argument to make if he only came afterwards, after everything was done. He's the one that gave the instruction. But I think maybe the biggest case here is common purpose. Because if it's common purpose, then he should also be charged for common purpose. Because he didn't go there, ask questions. It looks like he was part of the orchestration. He was part of the plan. He was even briefed. By the time they went to the scene, he knew the plan. He knew what they were going to do. Because of the fact that after all this is done, his action showed that there is some form of common purpose somewhere, somehow. So I think if he's going to be charged for accessory after the fact, he might not run away for common purpose. He might also be charged with that one because of how everything unfolded. And the fact that even after that 2 days, when he says he called from the testimony of Madlanga Commission that he gave, he didn't discipline those members. He didn't scold those members. He didn't give a really hard punishment for what those people have done who were working at Ekurhuleni. It looks like he was just like, you know what, it's fine, you guys have made the mistake, let us move on. No serious action against them, despite the fact that they are his people, under his command. And he knew that someone was unalived on that day, because they told him. Even though he denies that he gave Witness D an instruction to go and unalived. And he's saying that Witness D didn't even give an accurate description about him when he says that he went to the scene, because now he says he only met Yaku, he didn't meet the other ones. So when Witness D gave that description about him, that he was looking like this, he said he was lying because he was not looking like that. So that is the argument that Julius Mkhwanazi is raising. I don't know what you guys think about all of this. Do you think the IPID has a strong case? Do you think the Section 204, the state witnesses will tell the truth, or they won't? Or do you think that it's not necessary? The evidence is overwhelming, looking at the testimony of the Madlanga Commission, and that they should just charge Mkhwanazi and move forward. Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. Otherwise, guys, I'll see you on my next upload. Bye.